She's changed her life. In the past year, she's found religion. She's got a doctorate, gave up drinking, took down her OnlyFans page, removed a lot of things from her body. Silicone, fillers, some things she weren't even sure what they were. Why? She wanted to restore herself, and she recognized the risk of the choices she had made. And she wants to talk to you about it, and I will not call her Blac Chyna again, because her real name is Angela White. And Angela joins me now, along with Dr. Doris Day, to talk about how Angela is shining a light on something that many of us need to see. So thank you both, whether it's Pesach or it's Easter, blessings of the season to you both. Angela, I'll start with you. Tell us about your change and what was the motivation.
Hello, how you doing? And thank you so much for that beautiful intro. You know what? For me, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I knew that I wasn't living my life right, so I had to make a change.
And what did that mean to you? First of all, what made you feel that something was wrong, and then what did you come to believe would make it right?
For me, it's like it was one of those things to where as though I was getting so much money, I was getting this, I was doing this and doing this and doing that, but then I will always run into some issues or problems or drama or a lawsuit or false allegations and things like that. So I just really had to go into solitude and figure out what is it that's causing all of this, you know? And when you're like making fast money and you're getting recognized by everybody, you're not going to be praying as faithfully as you was before, prior to. So that was the biggest thing for me. And honestly, just from like my upbringing and things that I see and all of this and all of that, I just really wanted to really focus on my kids and focus on like really who I am, white. And for so long, sorry.
No. And today, and this is going to sound weird when I say it, but it is the job. One of the things that I did to get ready for this, other than listen to my EP, who knows everything about you, Dusty, she was then telling me, I know Doris Day also, we've been working together for a very long time, and I wanted to make sure I understood the significance of what you decided to undo physically.
Right.
And I looked, and you were one of these people who were very high on the list of people who had a lot of intrigue about, what an amazing body and so bodacious and what's real and what isn't. And you're an influencer. And there's so many young women, especially some men, but mostly women, who are desperate to augment and make themselves look like people like you. You decided to have things removed. What do you want to tell us about that?
So for me, I started off really, really, really young getting plastic surgery and whatnot. I started off at 19 getting plastic surgery, and my first encounter was the illegal butt shots. And the next thing was breast augmentation. And this was when I was in Miami and Washington, D.C. And then when I moved to L.A., that's when everything kind of changed for me. I started getting like the fillers and the lip fillers and hair things and just everything, just trying to basically alter my body to this perfect image that doesn't even really exist.
So Doris Day is nodding yes because, this is the pro of pros. Let's talk about what you've seen, Doctor, in terms of the unnecessary or the too much or what Angela is speaking to in your own practice.
Well, I'm so grateful that she's talking about this because she really is going to have a powerful voice in helping young people understand that you need to be thoughtful about what you have done and who does it. So I think of 19 as kind of the age of regret, where it's the time you really don't want to do something that's permanent. You want to maybe try different things, maybe a piercing in the ear or something that you can hide later or take back. But what she did with the silicone injections is very scary because there are medical grade silicones that are used and FDA approved for retinal detachment. And sometimes some doctors who know how to use them use very small amounts in the skin to help with scarring or even for rejuvenation. But the types of injections that she had in the butt were, as she mentioned, illegal, done in somebody's home, and massive amounts were put in at a time. And she's lucky, and she speaks to this, I've heard her speak to it so beautifully, that she didn't have a really bad reaction in terms of infection or necrosis or loss of skin. The types of things that we see that can happen not just at the time, but even years later. Like, some people don't realize that when you have silicone in your skin, if you have a laser on top, like a CO2 laser, there's published reports that shows that the silicone can actually catch fire. So these substances that are injected in the skin need to be done by board-certified physicians who know technique, know the products that are being used, they know what could go wrong and what to do if something goes wrong, and also when to stop. And what she talks about with having fillers over-injected over time is we know that these fillers can last a lot longer than we first realized, and we don't just need to keep adding to it, we need to be thoughtful about it.
Cheap and fast is what people want in our society, even when it comes to beauty. One of our producers on the team, we're working on a case that's like yours, Angela. This is somebody who got some stuff done in a place where, this is where they could afford it, and they didn't even know what it was, and they wound up getting really sick, and they've been in and out of the hospital, and now they had to raise money through GoFundMe to get it out. So what I want to end on is, you've had all this stuff taken out. Do you feel more or less beautiful than you did before?
I feel way, 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 way more beautiful. Like, I feel lighter, I feel happier, I feel more confident, like more confident than ever. And then also, too, I wanted to let y'all know how many cc's I took out. I took out 1,250 cc's.
Amazing.
That is a lot of silicone. So, yeah, I just want people just to be really cautious. It's really not worth it. And I got really honestly lucky.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
There's no better blessing than using the power of platform to spread information that's not always popular.
Yes.
And I applaud you for doing it. I thank you for doing it here, Angela.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Moving forward with your life. We're looking forward
you.
to what comes next. And Dr. Day, there's never been anybody better. So it's good to see you again, Doris. Thank you for being with me. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.